want to show flight routes.
Well, you run
Because
into the
there's
same
flight
problem.
routes. There's flight routes from both sides, which shows contradictory to both sides. So it's literally a non sequitur argument.
They don't take into account these planes use tailwinds, and you've got these jet streams at high altitudes.
Tail streams and jet winds. Oh no.
They're counter rotating. They're going opposite directions. You've got high speed wind at this altitude going one direction. You've got a high speed winds going at the other altitude in the opposite direction.
Really? Is that how shit works?
All they got to do is catch one of those. You're doing 500 miles an hour. You pick up an 800 mile an hour tailwind, and you're now 1,300 miles an hour.
Oh, is that how airplanes work?
Why planes fly at different altitudes. That's how those balloons work. They lower them to go left or right or east or west. Yep.
So there would be no way for him to explain how a counter-rotating wind goes.
But how do they keep them stationary? How do they keep these sat balloons stationary? Because my neighbor's satellite dish has not moved 1 inch. It's bolted to the roof at a specific angle, and he always picks up satellite. So how does that work with these things that are moving all around with the jet winds, as this guy says, thousands of miles an hour or 500 miles an hour? How does that work, man?
Going the opposite direction faster than the rotation of the Earth at that altitude, at that latitude. How is that taking place?
Well, because it's not rotating the Earth. It's that simple.
You know what I find? You know what I have to find funny though. I'm going to say this now because Bob's probably going to listen to this. If you're a pilot, why do you feel the need you need to bring Wolfie on to help you?
Is he bringing Wolfie on to help him? Is that what he said?
Make sure you quiz him about it. So why did you need somebody to come and hold jam, Bob? Don't let him just get away with it. Like, go give him some.
I find that a bit odd. He claims to be a pilot, and yet 5 minutes before the debate, he decides, let me bring a commercial pilot on to help me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you still don't know what plane he's.
Are you going to have these 5 guys with you?
Flying.
Nah. He probably flew that one that tried to account for Earth curve and crashed. So it's probably that one.
It's probably one that's flying. Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to prove these flat earthers wrong, and then.
Yes, we've always proved you wrong. We've proved you wrong hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
Flats, find that picture where it shows that, and just bring it up and.
Hey, George, what's up, man?
In your thing and say, "Is this you, Bob?"
Oh, there we go.
Dave's got it.
Because that would be just great. Because just having that on live would be just.
Oh man. Yeah,
I'll probably admit it to you.
Probably put that in.
So this is Flatzoid's pre-show. I'm scheduled to go on it at 1, but I decided to tune into the pre-show and show it. You know, kind of let people come in, get alerted. So.
Our closing statements.
That would be good.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, this is the. Where was it? Should I close it out? Never mind.
I'm confident you'll do that, Sav. You're gonna do it, aren't you? I know you will.
I whipped the thumbnail together about 10 minutes ago. Hope you like it.
He's got it. So when we do the closing statements, we'll show that.
I mean,
see you guys in the after show.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on the after show. I'm gonna share this show on Restream, so hopefully the video and sound works.
Yeah, here it is. I'm pretty proud of it. Little yellow mouse.
Yep.
So I'll see you guys. But yeah, it usually starts a bit late, so it should maybe start like 5 past. Okay, just to let you guys know. Right. So I'll see you guys all there now.
All right.
Many blessings. And Dave, just keep.
Yeah, so I might make that little mouse the channel mascot now instead of the lol cow.
I'm on
Keep
standby.
your
Give him
yeah,
hell.
keep on standby, man. Shot
Yeah,
dudes, many blessings and
Good
later,
luck.
Christian.
Anyway, so his pre-show's done.
So, base theory, Grayson, can you please explain?
So I've got my headphones over my hat because it's more comfortable that way, and I like my hat.
To everybody what Coriolis effect is, please.
Yeah, it's from the rotation of the Earth.
No, what is
Basically-
Coriolis effect?
Yeah, it's from your
See, Coriolis effect. Where was that? I think I looked that up earlier. Where was it? Coriolis effect. And you can't see that. Let me put that back the way it was. There we go. An effect whereby a mass moving in a rotating system experiences a force like Coriolis force, acting perpendicular to the direction of motion and to the axis of rotation. On the Earth, the effect tends to deflect moving objects to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. Important in the formation of cyclonic weather systems. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to understand. It's like, and then some dipshit, where was it?
rotating like inertial frame, basically. Like you basically like in the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, the things are going to rotate differently because of the Coriolis effect. You're going to have it's basically like a pseudo force that's applied to objects in motion when they're in a circular, like a rotating reference frame.
No, can I correct you quickly? The Coriolis effect is based on two reference frames. You
No, it's not.
being on the moving reference frame, which would be the non-inertial reference frame, seeming to have an apparent deviation of an object in the inertial reference frame. The plane is in the inertial reference frame, having the apparent deviation as you move underneath the plane. So not actually
No, there's only one reference frame.
deviating, it just appears that way. There's no actual conservation of momentum in the second reference frame because it is flying in a linear fashion because you're moving underneath it, it appears to have that deviation. That is Coriolis, mate. So, base theory.
Nope. And somebody made the comment, I can't find it, where they said, well, how do you get opposite rotations of cyclones? I'm like, dude, take your hand, drag it through water, shine a light through the water and see which direction the things move. It's not too hard to understand. I mean, they might as well just say, well, yeah, you say air's breathable, well, prove it. I mean, that's how silly their arguments are. He started yet? 1 minute. Got a minute. Do I need more coffee? I think I do need more coffee. I will be right back. So I don't know what's going on. But I'm having some ham. Pretty simple to understand. All right. Hey, George. Hey, Westside Girl Reacts, Citizen 9, RT96, and Pentalica. Welcome to the show. So this ought to prove to be a pretty hilarious thing. Let me get to... Yeah, it's been cloudy every night. Haven't been able to see the aurora, which is kind of disappointing. I've not been able to see any kind of astrological phenomenon for like 10 years. Since I've lived here, it's been cloudy every equinox. It's been cloudy every eclipse that I can see from here. Can't see the aurora borealis. I'm starting to fucking think like a flat earther. It's all fake. They're just feeding us shit because I can't see it. I can't see it. California's part of the conspiracy. Fucking, I mean, they can control the weather. Well, why the fuck don't they? You imagine like astronomers would kind of like to see the fucking weather clear up so they could see the stars? I think so. I mean, they can control the weather. Well, why is the Sahara a fucking desert, man? Why don't they make it rain in the desert and grow crops and cure famine? Why don't they do that, man? I mean, they heard about it. I mean, a flat earther heard about the technology. You don't think some rogue scientist would hear about it too and fucking build it and make it happen? They really are silly, silly, silly people. Their arguments make no sense at all. Their arguments more than none contradict their other arguments. So, and I don't know if I'm subscribed to Bob's channel, and I don't know if he's streaming it or not. He's mostly like TikTok and I think he's mostly like TikTok and Facebook now. He got out of the YouTube scene. Come on, mouse. No sound. Way to go. Seriously? No, we got sound. Oh, no sound with them. Nope. Nobody in the chat is telling them. Did you get sound? Maybe I've got the thing set wrong. Hold on. Yep. No? Not getting it. Well, maybe I got to restart. Fucking OBS. I fucking swear. Well, hold on. What do I have this set on? Yeah, I'm getting no sound at all. Let me try this again. Try opening this.
Because it's.
Are you watching on Jaren or Flatzoid's channel? Let me see what Flatzoid. So we know we've got sound. I'm just curious. We'll get to it.
Have to.
Oh, okay. All right.
Any.
There we go. So let's oh yeah, they had to wait for his 20-minute fucking intro to finish. Didn't they? All right. Okay. You still with me? All right, let's go. All right, hold on a second. I gotta turn it back to where it was.
A minute intro to begin.
Hey, there we go. Awesome. I knew I'd figure it out. I'm smart.
And they each have 2 buzzers, as you have gotten used to by now. Let's bring them on. Here is Bob and Flatzoid. Welcome, guys. Nice to have you.
I mean, this really is a good. I mean, I do have to hand it to Jaren. This really is a good format.
That's good to be here. Glad to have appreciated the platform, and that's glad Bob could make it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Jaren. Always glad to have a chat with somebody.
Good. You can tell everybody real quick who you are, where they can find you, all that fun stuff.
Oh, I'm Bob the Science Guy. I'm from Michigan. I am a YouTube creator that's been dealing with science denial and conspiracy theories for about 5 years. I'm a science communicator, and I have channels here on YouTube for Bob the Science Guy, for Shamrock Banks Observatory, my backyard observatory where I do comet and asteroid research. I also have a slide rule and mathematics channel that
soccer counts.
Deal with my favorite little thing, which is slide rules. And I'm over on TikTok recently under Bob the Science Guy, and over there I do a lot of science education.
All right.
What is French? What French? Why is it? It's not in French.
Thank you very much. And we've got Flatsoid. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
But that's subtitles? Was it in French?
And who you are and all that fun stuff.
Hilarious.
Hey guys,
Damn
I'm
YouTube.
Flatsoid's Perspective, a flat earther. Obviously, been doing YouTube for the last 7 years about. I do have the TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter if you need to look me up. I'm just going to have some fun, and everybody knows me. I like to debate, so it's going to be fun to see what.
But you don't debate, Mouse. You don't debate. You deny everything presented to you. You don't give any evidence to back up your claims. You don't debate.
We're going to get up to with what shenanigans and contradictions the globe has to offer for us.
All righty. See who goes first with the intro.
Oh,
We'll go
okay.
ahead and do a coin toss.
Oh, okay. I get it.
So let me get that on there.
I'm going to defer to Flatsoid requested this debate, so I'll be happy to defer to him. He can go ahead and give his spiel at first, but I have 1 hour.
You okay with that, Flatsoid? You want to go first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we won't even do a coin toss. All right, Flatsoid's going first. You got a minute to do an intro, and then we'll get started. We'll give his minute, and then we'll get started with the 30-minute clock. So go ahead. When you start your intro, we will start the clock.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't need to share screen, though, because it's just based on the intro.
Of course, you don't need to share a screen. Not when you don't have anything to show.
We're talking about Coriolis, and we're going to be talking about flight dynamics. So the point is, we do not observe any plane deviation to present the presentation that Earth rotates underneath the plane. So we have no Coriolis effect deviation observed. So there is an issue there, and we do not have to account for anything as if curvature when the plane is flying anywhere over the plane.
See, Flatsoid has been educated on why you don't need to, or why you don't see it a lot. So when he says this, he's being very, very, very dishonest, and straw manning an opinion.
The fact that planes work and show.
Yes, that's what this is, RT96. That's exactly what this is going to be. I guarantee it. Flatsoid's going to school the shit out of them.
They fly a level flight and have their gyro set on the runway in a rigid frame reference of horizontal, and when they land, they still have that same horizontal no matter where they go.
What happens if the gyro shuts off for some reason, Flatsoid? What happens if that happens? Can they restart it when they're in the air? You think it'll show level even if they start it in the air, nowhere near the runway?
It shows the point that they have never ever flown over a curve or had to account for any movement of the ground beneath them. Thanks.
Well, long-range artillery manuals and naval gunnery manuals disagree with you. So, just saying. See, when you don't use the manual right and you go against the manual of how you've been trained, you lose, especially with wars and battles.
Excellent. Thank you. And Bob, same thing. We'll start your minute when you start talking.
Okay, well, I'm an actual trained pilot and fly airplanes, and quite frankly, I know how they work. I also know quite a bit about celestial and ground navigation. And I'm just going to let the facts speak for themselves today. And that's all I have to say.
All right.
This really isn't...
very good.
This isn't a subject of debate. This is a subject of education.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for that. And both clocks will be set at 30 minutes. Flatsoid, you can begin. You both have 2 buzzers you can use if you want to take control. Otherwise...
I'll go on mute.
Okay.
See, I only have 2 cups of coffee a day.
Thank you. Flatsoid, you can go as long as you need.
Awesome. Yeah, so thanks, Bob. You heard what I had to say in the first minute. Would you be able to, let's maybe first address the curvature part. Why aren't we able to observe anything that situates us flying over geometric spheroid?
What was that? We measured the Earth as spherical for over 2,000 years. So
why on earth don't you think that curvature is taken into account? How do we navigate over the Earth?
With the Haversine formula included in the the sight reduction?
With a plane,
I still can't figure out sight reduction.
You navigate over a stationary, rigid plane.
Well, that's your claim. However, we actually fly over great circle distances and via great circle courses. There is no such thing as a great circle on a flat plane. That's only.
Nope. I wanted to break in. Got these from Amazon. Actually got 2 bottles of each. And I got 2 bottles of white that are coming tomorrow. 55 cents a piece. 2-ounce bottles. Which is a lot of paint when you have to thin it like half and half. So yeah, that came in the mail today. And what I'm going to be doing with it is practicing my airbrushing. Let me let's see. Be practicing things like this. It's an airbrush technique that looks like real fire. It's called TrueFire. And like this right here, this is airbrushed. This is not real fire. But this is what you can do with an airbrush. And 3 colors basically. Black, well, 4 with the background. But you can do this with just an airbrush. It's fucking crazy. I mean, it's fucking crazy. There's like, I don't know how true the stories are. Here's a, yeah, I mean, I don't know how true the stories are, but there was a helicopter that they painted with that. And it flew like lower than the trees at some point, and some neighbors saw it flying through the trees with that paint job. And it was just obscured enough for them to call the police and the fire department that there was a helicopter on fire. So, and I mean, it was painted by the original creator of the technique. So I'd believe it. But that's what I'm going to be practicing, how to do that. And it's pretty simple and pretty effective.
They found on the surface of a sphere.
Anyway.
So can you show us flying?
Hey, Rachie, how you doing?
Great circle distances in a vertical, please.
What do you mean in a vertical?
Because you need to fly over a sphere, you're flying over a vertical. Your altitude, keeping the same altitude, means that you're going to have to either drop your nose to keep up with that rigid horizontal of the gyro, or it's just...
See, he's been educated on pendulous vanes, which keeps the gyroscope upright with gravity. He's been educated on this, but they work with gravity, and he can't fucking deal with it.
Magic, and it's not curving.
Sorry, language. I'm trying to clean up my language. If you'll notice the last live stream I did, I think I said 2 bad words the entire time. So I'm trying to clean up my act.
Yeah.
I'm making a conscious
that's basically
effort.
2015 thinking.
Yeah.
So, if you look at this globe right here, and I put this pen on top of it, do you agree that the pen is a certain distance above the surface of the globe right here where it touches? Okay. Does it change? Is it changed anywhere? Still the same distance above the surface. Your altitude doesn't care what the shape of the Earth is. You're a certain distance above. We'll use mean sea level as the datum. So level flight means that you're just maintaining the same altitude above the ground, and it simply doesn't matter what the surface is.
Great. So you do know we fly relative to the ground.
Yep.
With planes. Okay.
Absolutely.
So if we have mean sea level, can you bring the definition up for mean sea level, please?
No.
Why not?
You should come prepared. If you don't know the definition of sea level, I'll give you a moment to Google it.
I can tell you.
Well, then go right ahead and do it.
No problem.
Yeah, let's Google it. Mean sea level. Here we go. Mean sea level is an average surface level of one or more among Earth's coastal bodies of water, which heights such as elevation may be measured.
high or other. It is the mean sea level, as in 0 horizontal,
No.
based from one side or the other, based on the tip.
Doesn't say anything about horizontal here. It doesn't say anything about that, man.
Topography. Yeah.
Nobody says anything about horizontal. It's the mean level of the
That's
surface.
literally-
It's the datum of the surface. So, for example, if you have a sphere like this, the surface is all sea level, and the distance above sea level doesn't change no matter where you are, as long as it's the same distance above sea level. So, you can try and claim that that's horizontal to go along with your belief system. However, that's just simply not the case. 5 feet above the ground, all over the curved surface of the earth is all level because it's the same distance above the ground. And again, by ground, I mean sea level or whatever datum you're using.
Okay, great. So when the plane is on a runway and
Mhm.
we get to the plane moving and we're spinning the gyro up, it sets a horizontal reference datum, correct?
Yeah, based on gravity.
Yeah, your altitude indicator is run off of a gyro, yes.
So when you're on the runway, it's sitting still.
Not altitude, attitude indicator. I'm sorry, I think I misspoke.
Yeah, the attitude. And we've set the horizontal datum so we know always where the horizon is in our flight. Great.
Well, we know what horizontal is in our flight, yes.
So do you have the same horizontal on every latitude on a globe?
Yep.
How is that possible?
Because they're all pointing down toward the center of the earth. That's why. So you don't understand. He does not understand 3 dimensions. He cannot comprehend 3 dimensions. It's impossible for him. He's proving that right now.
I'm taking off, let's say, in the North Pole, and I fly to the equator. It's not the same horizontal, is it?
No, you're still horizontal. You're still, the ground under your feet is still horizontal, but it's not the same horizontal as at the North Pole. No, it would be 90 degrees to that horizontal.
The horizontal from your point on the pole versus the horizontal on the point on the equator, they're level. They're not on the same plane. They're 90 degrees to each other.
So not the same horizontal then?
No. Okay, I'll go with that.
I'm not coaching Bob. I swear.
Great. So when we have a rigid space datum when we take off, why don't we account for dropping when we're flying over your ball?
Where are we dropping?
We supposed to be deviating from that horizontal that we set. It's a rigid plane.
No, we're maintaining a certain level above the ground. Now, there are devices on the attitude indicator called pendulous vanes. And using the pendulous vane.
But you're nodding your head like you know this. Why didn't you bring it up, Flatzoid? Why didn't you bring it up? Because it's a very important part, and it completely destroys you. That's why.
And the vector of gravity. It does keep that so that it's horizontal to the ground.
Actually,
yes.
It uses...
Yes, exactly. Yes.
INS, which is using...
That's an INS. That's not an attitude indicator. That's INS.
INS uses for the correction of magnetic.
No, that's not what an INS does. An INS consists of 3 sets of gyroscopes set at 90 degrees to each other that look at a coordinate system on
that internal navigation system,
the Earth. So one way that you can easily look at that is if you take a box. I don't think I have a box handy real quick. Double check. No, I don't see one.
I have a box.
Well, here, we'll use this. So here's a box. Now this box,
there you got it,
has got a coordinate system in it. It's got a height, it's got a width, and it's got a length. So you can set up XYZ coordinates on this box. Take that, put it in the box. You can describe every point on the surface of this in those XYZ coordinate system. And what an INS does is it takes 3 sets of gyros and it spins up on the ground, and then it keeps track of your position in that 3-dimensional space. And then it coordinates that with the surface geode of the Earth, the WSG 84. So that will tell you where you are at all times.
It uses magnetic.
But Bob, Flatzoid knows more than you.
It doesn't use WGS. It uses magnetic north.
No.
But anyway.
No, military planes use a mechanical gyro compass that doesn't use magnets and only finds north by itself just by turning the thing on with the gyroscopic precession, which is only possible with the spin of the Earth. So
you just literally making my point now that it's using the 90 degrees in 3 different axes. Okay.
Pendulous vanes, yeah.
So it's using rigid space.
Like yours does.
You know your vertical, you know your horizontal, you know your plane. You're flying over a plane. Why is
your
no,
position
you're not.
In three-dimensional space.
No, you're not flying over a plane. You're not. You're flying over a sphere.
It doesn't have anything to do with the orientation of the Earth.
Why is it that when you're flying, there is no deviation of this rigid plane?
What rigid plane?
The horizontal set on the runway.
No, you're talking about 2 different things. All right, I was talking about an attitude indicator. You're now talking about an INS versus an IRS.
The INS is doing the correction based on.
No, an INS is simply determining its position in 3-dimensional space, and it doesn't really care what the position of the ground is. It just tells you that I'm at this XYZ coordinate. And then the navigation system.
Look at Flatzoid looking it up. Look at him Googling it.
That is hooked in.
Look at him. See, his eyes are over off to the right. He isn't looking at the screen. He isn't looking at the camera. So, yeah. Wasn't that a bad thing, Flatzoid? Wasn't that a bad thing when FDFE did it?
To the INS tells you where that is in reference to the geode.
Okay, so are you going to actually attempt to answer what I asked about?
I did.
He did. Is not all you've got?
To answer what you talked about.
Why is it? No, I'm asking very specific. If you're taking off, you've got your horizontal set. Okay, let's say we're flying from the North Pole. We've got the horizontal set.
That's fine.
Why is it, no matter where you're flying, that horizontal does never change? You're never dipping your nose down to keep up with the curve because the horizontal.
Why would you dip your nose down?
Because your personal horizontal is always perpendicular to the Earth. That's why. Because gravity pulls you toward the center of it. That's perpendicular.
By the time you get to the equator, you would be either being flying vertical or you'd be in space.
Well, that's just basically a total misunderstanding of how aircraft fly.
No kidding.
Aircraft fly over the surface of the Earth. They don't care what the shape of the Earth is. They just maintain a set altitude when you're flying straight and level. Straight and level means you're maintaining the same altitude above the, in this case, means sea level, and you're not deviating to the left or the right. That's a curved path.
Yep.
There's no curved path, it's horizontals.
No, it's a curved path.
How do you have a curved path?
No, it's a curved path.
It's a curved path, parallel or concentric to the Earth's surface. Yes.
No, if you fly over the surface of the Earth, so for example, again, here's your Earth. Here's your set distance above the Earth. As you curve.
NASA's the devil.
As you go around the Earth, you notice that the distance to the top of that pin, the outside of the pin doesn't change. It's just maintaining a set level above the ground. It doesn't really care what the ground looks like.
Okay, I'm going to.
Doesn't care if there's mountains or canyons or seas or whatever. It just flies at the same altitude relative to mean sea level.
Yeah, you're still not actually answering.
Well, that's the answer you're getting. So,
okay.
If you want to try and move on to something else or want to put up something to support your position, I'm happy to look at it.
INS refers to the latitude and longitude and altitude being fed from the IRU, other systems reference, or selected display pilot of the Electronic Flight Instrument System, EFIS. So it's making the corrections based on already set measurements. Correct?
Sorry, Bob, go ahead.
All right, so go ahead and tell me exactly what that's talking about. What is the electronic flight system?
It's talking about the correction based on the precession that the gyros give.
All right. What is the electronic flight system that you highlighted?
IRS.
No, read it. Click on it and read it.
I've already gone out of it, but it doesn't matter. The point is you're trying to...
Well, yeah, it does.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because I'm asking you
You're going
about
off
it.
the
Show
point.
me.
You're going again off the point. You set your horizontal datum. It's a rigid plane. It never
your claim.
changes. It stays with that. No, it's not my claim. It stays that rigid plane.
No, that's your claim.
It's always staying that rigid plane. Can you show me once in any flight path where that rigid plane has changed, please?
Okay, there are 3 axes of the gyrus compass, or the gyrus, or the INS gyroscopes. They're set at 90 degrees to each other, just like your vestibular apparatus in your ear. All that does is maintain a situational awareness of what your position in space is, and then the computer takes that and converts it to your position over the ground. So I don't see what the problem in understanding what that is. All the INS does is give you your 3 coordinates.
Which is correcting for the precession. Okay, but again, I'm asking you.
What is precession?
A rigid.
What do you refer to by precession?
Can we finish one argument at a time? Can you please
Well, you
explain?
brought up...
You can't have precession on a stationary Earth, man. You can't.
Precession. Tell me what you're referring to.
You are overstating from the point, Bob. The point still is the gyro sets a rigid plane, okay? It sets the horizon line. So when you're on the runway, it sets that horizon line. That horizon line stays the same right through your flight, no matter where you go. So, can you tell me where it has ever shown to show it has deviated to a new horizon line, please?
Okay, I'm happy to. Now, I've already discussed the attitude indicator, but you blew right past that because it involved gravity and pendulous vanes, and you understand that that kills your argument. So now you switched over to the INS. The INS, again, please pay attention, has 3 gyroscopes in it. They are all set at 90-degree angles to each other. They don't care where they start off. They just need to start off somewhere and understand where they are in relationship to each other. They don't care if they're lined up to the horizon at the runway. They simply need to understand where they are in relationship to each other and become stable at that point, and then they just keep track of everything. So what you do is you put in your exact location and altitude of your airport. You let these things spin up for about 20 minutes without moving the aircraft. And then what happens is when you take off, it keeps track of where you are in reference to those 3 gyroscopes. And that's all there is to it. They don't care about the horizon.
Oh, but the attitude indicator sets the horizon.
Based on where you are, yeah.
Yeah, and that horizon stays along the same horizontal plane right from when takeoff to when you land.
So what?
So it has never changed horizontal then. It stays the same horizontal from point A to point B.
Okay, so?
So
it's
no
got
curve.
the inputs coming in telling it where it is. So what?
So no curve then.
That doesn't mean that there's no
There's
curve.
no curve then.
That doesn't mean anything of the kind.
What an idiot. What time is it? Well, excuse me, what time is it? It's 2:45. Oh, so there's no curve?
If you need to understand how an INS system works, take a course on it. All right. I've never used an INS. I do, of course, know what it is. But that's the way it works. And that's just that. It doesn't care where the horizon was. It just sits down and gives input into the navigation system, and the navigation system tells you where the horizon is.
I shouldn't have given INS because you're literally missing the point. The point is the horizon stays at the same horizontal plane from point A to point B.
By design, yes. That's what it's designed to do.
There is no curve detected. The plane doesn't drop the nose down or have to change its pitch to keep up with the Earth curve.
Come on, Mouse. You've been educated on why. You've been educated on this.
It always keeps a flight reference to that horizontal and vertical. It never changes.
Okay, so if I take off from an airport here in Michigan and I fly straight and level, will I end up in space on a curve if the Earth is a ball?
Yes, if you're not
Yes, because down is where? He doesn't understand down on a ball. He doesn't. He just can't. He can't comprehend
either
it.
changing your airspeed
Just
or
sad.
dropping the nose to keep up with the
Okay.
physical conditions.
Well, that's not how airplanes work. Sorry about that.
No, it's
That's
not.
exactly how airplanes work.
They maintain the same height above the ground, the same altitude above the ground, or in
Yes.
some cases, and you know the instrument pilots out there and the big iron pilots.
I mean, I learned how an airplane works in Cub Scouts, like 7th grade, man.
I'm sure are happy to correct me on this, but I will say that over 18,000 feet in the United States, you fly at a pressure altitude, not MSL. So
Yeah, pressure
Yes.
altitude, which is based off MS.
Yes, which is based on gravity, because gravity creates our atmospheric pressure system.
But anyway, again, it keeps the same horizontal. You just told
does
me
not.
you don't dip your nose or you do not change your airspeed to be able to drop to keep up with the curve.
You're not.
No, you change your airspeed to drop. You slow down or speed up to go up or down. That's how avionics work, or that's how aviation works. But you don't drop your nose. You don't dive down unless you're going into a fucking dive bomb, or you want to get down quick. But normally when you raise or lower in altitude, you just slow down or speed up. That's all you do. You maintain that slight dip upwards, and you just slow down or speed up. When you speed up, creates more lift on the wings because they're aerodynamic, or they're an airfoil. So the faster the wind moves across the top of the wings, the more it wants to pull it up.
Not dropping, you're maintaining the same altitude. It doesn't care what the shape of the earth is.
So flat then, so no curve.
No,
Correct.
not flat.
Where's the curve then?
It's actually right in front of you.
Jesus Christ, man. He just really is not smart at all, and very dishonest.
At all times. That's why you have a horizon. The Earth
horizon
curves away from you at a rate of 8 inches per mile squared.
So
from any location on Earth.
Horizontal curves now.
Excuse me?
So you're saying horizontal curves?
No, the horizon curves.
Level curves.
Yep.
Horizontal.
Horizontal is 90 degrees to your vertical at any given point. As you change your position, horizontal correspondingly changes because your vertical changes.
Yes, there are no parallel plumb bobs.
Okay.
There are collinear, but none parallel.
Oh, goody! Another diagram from Flatsoid. I love these.
Yeah, it's on screen, correct?
Yep.
Hold on.
Okay, cool. This is going to be
Nope.
the horizontal
You had it.
reference set by the plane when we're taking off on the one side of the. Okay.
Okay.
We got the
There
plane.
we go. Oh
Going
no!
that way. So that's
Oh
the
no!
horizontal,
He's
we
not
got the
going to do that,
vertical.
is he?
Going this way.
He's going to do it.
It's
He's
set
going to
that
do
rigid
it.
plane. You would agree? Rigid
Oh my
plane
God! Oh my God! He's going to do it.
means it stays always in that reference. That's if you don't have that reference staying rigid, you won't know your orientation.
Are we talking about an INS or an attitude indicator?
Just gyro. We're just making
No,
a
no.
simple spot.
Just gyro.
One gyro or
Right,
three?
right. This is all three. They set in the run.
All
You got
three.
your vertical,
Gotcha.
you got your horizontal. Notice
Mhm.
even that is based on the 3 dimensions in a box, as you said. So to be a
Okay.
horizontal, okay?
Yep.
Now, when I fly the plane, and let's say I've gone now to the equator now, it's going to be facing this way, correct?
Okay. Where's your horizontal at the equator?
According to a rigid plane, it should now be there,
No.
which would show you vertical now.
Oh my God, dude! Come on. Serious?
That's
Yeah,
your
but
horizontal
people
at the
already-
equator.
That's why I asked you, do you know what a rigid plane means?
See, south is not down. South is not down. Down is the direction of the brown line right here. Down is the direction of the yellow line here.
Is that your horizontal at the equator?
Well, it's supposed to be a horizontal set from point A to point B, the same horizontal, no deviation.
What do we
shown.
call that line that you just drew down there by the equator?
It's called a perpendicular.
In reference to the
No, in reference to that point on the Earth.
So it would now be vertical, correct?
Very good. Very good.
There.
Right. So that would mean if I had to keep
That would mean that you're clueless. That's what that means.
it in reference with the flight, let me put the plane how it would show then, according to not dipping down.
So you think that if I start at the North Pole and I fly to the equator, I'll be flying straight up. That's the way you look at this, huh?
If you follow what we observe, there's no
hilarious.
So you don't physically have a curve now.
Oh my God.
You think that if
he really thinks this.
You think a plane, do you honestly think
so sad
that an airplane flies around the Earth like this?
It has an angle of attack of about 2 to 3 degrees.
Do you think that it flies around the Earth like this? Come on, Flatslide.
He doesn't think, real quick, he doesn't think it's a ball. So what you're...
No, he didn't think. That's why. That he just cut all the rest of the words off that. He doesn't think.
You're saying is kind of non sequitur.
All right, well, that's his...
He just parrots what other flat earthers have told him.
Problem.
No, you literally just ignoring my argument. You agree with me?
Your argument is ludicrous. Your argument is sub-grade school level, man. That's your argument is ignorant, is ignoramus. You just don't have an argument. There is no argument.
Yeah, I am.
You agree
I am,
with
because
me?
your argument is silly.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving it any attention because you have a blatant misunderstanding of how an INS works or how navigation works or how flight instruments work. I've tried to explain it to you, but you're too obtuse to hear what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's just as simple as that.
You're insulting me because you don't want to just concede a horizontal reference.
No.
Rigid space stays that way because you can't show me it deviating through flight.
No, he's not doing that. He's ignoring your entire argument because it's ludicrous. It's idiotic.
Can you show me a deviating? Then you can make the claim. Does it deviate?
Rigid bikes.
Yes.
Show me a deviating, please.
Okay. Well, when you fly, okay, you start off at the North Pole like this. Okay.
And you fly around it.
See, here's the North Pole. Here's my airplane. It's a set height above the ground. When I come over here, that is still level.
Get the nose.
No, because we live on Earth, man. Yeah, to someone on Mars or the moon who saw this, if they had eyes good enough, yes, from his reference frame, the nose would be dipping. But from our reference frame, because we're not moon men, we don't see the nose dipping. It's just flying horizontally. Wow.
The nose isn't dipping. It doesn't have anything with anything to do with where.
I mean, they don't understand 3 dimensions. They don't understand reference frames. They don't understand refraction. They don't understand physics. A lot of them don't understand chemistry. Or math. Simple math. Trigonometry, geometry, geography.
Where the nose is. It's simple.
I mean, these are the kids from the slow bus, from the short bus. These are the kids who got shoved in the alternate education program because they were just too stupid to. They would bring the other students down to their level, so they put them in a class all by themselves.
Simply follows the curve around because this direction is down no matter where you are on the globe.
Hey, hold my pocket.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, 2 things happen. One, this aircraft does not have an INS. This aircraft has an attitude indicator. And the attitude indicator takes the vector of gravity in pendulous vanes and corrects for that.
Absolutely.
And INS just knows that it's at this point in space, and now it's at that point in space. That's all the INS knows.
Okay. Do planes have flight logs?
What does that have to do with anything?
Yes.
Are they able to tell you what altitude you flew, for how long, what angle of attack you flew?
Yeah. Yeah, the black box also does that. Records it on a wire. Did you know that? The way it records, the way a flight indicator, a black box works, is it records it with a wire tape recorder or a wire recorder. It's a spool of magnetizable wire, and it records it just like a cassette tape, except it's wire. And it's much more durable than tape. Can't be erased like you can with like with an EMF. It can't be erased with an EMF, I don't think, like a hard drive can.
We don't. That's not what's in a flight log. What's in a flight log?
I'm just saying, do you have logs on? Do you just have logs, information, data on a black box?
What we log is our origin and destination airports, the type of aircraft, and our flight hours and the conditions of the flight, whether it's instrument or non-instrument.
Great. And if they have a black box, are they able to know if something goes wrong with the plane?
Yes.
Okay,
Gee,
so would it be able to
good one, citizen,
pick up a change off of that horizontal that was set on the runway?
It'll know exactly where it is in three-dimensional space, yes.
And because it was set as a rigid horizontal,
you seem to not grasp the idea.
Set as a rigid horizontal. See, yes, it's a rigid horizontal when you're on the runway. Then when you take off, the pendulous vanes keep correcting it so that right under your feet, that's your rigid horizontal.
Yeah. And still talking, and it never changes. Why would you claim then it does change if you literally just said it doesn't change?
All right. So once again, and this is the last time
he doesn't understand the difference between horizontal and locked in rigid 3D space. He can't separate those two.
I'm going to try and explain this to you because I'm not going to address it again. The INS has a series of 3 planes of reference with 3 gyroscopes. Actually, I think there's 6. But what they do is they tell you the XYZ coordinate of the aircraft and they compare.
Say, look at his face. He isn't listening at all. He's not listening at all. He isn't absorbing any information.
That to the WSG 84 geoid of the spherical Earth, and it will tell you where you are in reference to the surface of that geoid.
Yep.
And that's that. Simple as that. It doesn't care. It doesn't care where the horizon is. It doesn't care where it started versus where it ended up, where the horizon is. It just gives you the 3-dimensional space. So
do you know what rigid? Do you know what rigid means?
Yes. Do you?
Yes, that's what I'm asking you because you seem to not understand what rigid means.
Oh yeah, he already won. He already proclaimed himself the winner in the pre-show.
So no, I understand that the 3 gyro compasses change. I understand that the 3 gyro compasses measure the XYZ axis. That doesn't change. That does not change.
So it doesn't change
the surface of the spherical Earth.
So it doesn't change then. It keeps that same rigid plane right through from when you take off to land.
It just takes into.
It's not a rigid plane. It's rigidity in 3D space. It's 3 planes, X, Y, and Z.
To account where it is over the surface of the sphere.
Or X, Y, Y, Z, ZX.
Correct. Now,
so
I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this, and I'm not going to address any further questions on gyro compasses or the INS system. So
okay,
move on to your next one.
I'll take that as you running away then. Great, we can move on.
No, I'm just not. I've already explained it to you enough times that I don't feel the need to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's called running. Anyway.
No, it's called you not understanding because you keep asking questions. You keep asking the same questions. You keep getting the wrong information. So it's just he's done with that. Move on. I mean, that's not him running away. He's still there. You see, he's still here, right there. There's Bob. Hey, Bob.
Okay, Coriolis, can you show us where
I mean, you can't present any evidence to back your claim ever. and you claim that Bob is running away.
Coriolis is taken into account with flights, please.
Okay, how do you think you would take into account Coriolis with a flight?
It's not my claim, that's your claim.
I never claimed that.
Oh, so there is no Earth rotation then?
I didn't claim that either. If you have a statement to make about Earth rotation and can show me why the Earth is not rotating, I'm happy to hear your claim.
Yeah, the Earth's not rotating because we don't fly and see any deviation of the plane. You said you agree that the plane flies in reference to the ground.
Yes.
And when we fly, do we have to catch any runway?
No.
Okay. Do we have to catch up to Earth spin?
Oh, come on. Ask a better question, Flatzoid.
I'm starting to get dishonesty coming here. Can you answer the question? Do we observe drift due to Earth rotation?
Yes, we do.
Where do we do this? Where do we?
The Coriolis drift does occur on any object that is moving over the surface of the Earth. It doesn't occur on objects that remain over the same point on Earth. But if you move from point A to point B, you do have a Coriolis effect.
So we observe helicopters flying backwards.
Why would we do that?
You just said anything not attached to the Earth's surface will show deviation.
I didn't say that at all. What did I say?
Anything not attached to the surface will
I didn't say that. What did I say?
Jaren, did he say that? Or did I hear things?
Just tell us what you said, Bob. I thought you said the same thing.
No, I said that if an object is not moving over the surface of the Earth, there is no Coriolis. When it moves from point A to point B, remember me saying that? Then there is a Coriolis effect. Please try and keep up.
So a helicopter or a plane or a hot air balloon moving in a linear fashion will fly backwards.
Who told you that? Why would it fly backwards?
Because Earth's spinning underneath it.
You think the Earth is spinning underneath an aircraft in flight, and it would fly backwards because of it?
That's your claim.
Okay. How is the Earth spinning under an aircraft?
Oh, it's not my claim. I'm not saying it is.
Well, yeah, it is, because you just said you understand that my claim is that an aircraft would move backwards because the Earth was spinning under it. How on earth would
there we go.
That even work?
Okay, let's put it this way. If I take a plane and fly 500
I'll tell you what. You make your claim.
You just
about what you think Coriolis is going to do.
I'll still make
There you go. His name is Whiskers P. Dipshit.
a statement.
Go ahead.
When you take an airplane and you're flying 500 miles an hour at the equator, and you're flying opposite to the rotation, are you going to be flying 500 minus 500 miles an hour?
From what reference point?
The plane's in the non-inertial, remember?
You think so?
Yeah, it's
What's
in the linear
non-inertial
movement.
reference
He doesn't understand reference frames.
frame?
The non-inertial reference frame is the observed deviation. So the movement of the plane
what's
would be
the
the
non-inertial
non-inertial,
reference
while
frame?
we are on the inertial reference plane would be the movement of Earth, which we see an apparent deviation. So to us, it will be looking like the plane is flying backwards.
Okay, well, first of all, you don't seem to understand the difference between inertial and non-inertial reference frames, and I don't have time to teach you right now. Aircraft fly in reference to the surface of the ground. All right, so an aircraft that is flying at 500 miles an hour is going 500 miles an hour over the ground, like this. Its speed is not being judged from the moon, where you have the Earth's rotation, and then you have the airplane flying with it. It's in reference to the ground.
Yeah, this is a poem I read a long, long time ago by, well, get down. He's got a hairball. I think mice are rather nice. Their tails are long, their faces small, they haven't any chins at all, their ears are pink, their teeth are white, they run about the house at night, they nibble things they shouldn't touch, and no one seems to like them much. But I think mice are rather nice.
So let's start over again from that. So when you have an aircraft that is flying at 500 miles an hour, that's the speed over the ground. It doesn't care if it's going north, south, east, or west.
Every spring.
In 1 hour, it will be 500 miles from where it is, from where it started. And the entire system, of course, is rotating because the Earth is rotating, as is demonstrated elsewhere.
Cool. So fighting for not Coriolis then.
Excuse me?
So fighting for not Coriolis. We don't observe
Good
it,
Lord.
so therefore not Coriolis.
We do
so
observe
therefore
it.
you can't claim.
Me
You just said
clean
you
We
that
don't.
most definitely do.
You literally just said you don't observe it.
No, I said that aircraft fly in relationship to the ground. We're not looking at it from a disinterested third party like the moon, where we're looking at the rotation and the aircraft as two separate things. We're looking at the rotating Earth and the rotating aircraft, and the aircraft is flying in relationship to the ground underneath it.
So no Coriolis observed.
How did you
damn
come
it.
up with that?
You just
Good
said
Lord.
we can't observe it, so therefore no.
I didn't say
Coriolis
we can't
observed.
observe it. We observe Coriolis all the time.
Where?
Okay, well, is it
Storms?
my turn to present or not?
Weather?
Is his 30 minutes up?
No, but the clock's been counting the whole time. You can.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Jesus.
Is my screen not shared? Hold
It's
on.
showing. Yeah.
What's
It's
he
17 minutes
got?
left.
You should be able to see my screen. He's at
Oh,
20.
wait a minute. Why do you have 17 and 20? What's that in reference
That's
to?
the 30-minute clock that's been counting down when you're talking.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's let Flatzo
Yep.
get caught up.
Yeah, he just
Okay.
he absolutely loves to strawman people.
I'm going
Because
to
I
say
haven't
this
even
again.
presented anything yet.
He misrepresents what he hears, and he strawmans people and uses his misunderstanding as the argument.
You can present
I've
if you
just
want.
been
I
dealing
can.
with his silliness.
Okay, before he presents, can I just quickly educate the guy that's telling me I don't know what's going on?
No, you don't know what's going on, man. You don't at all.
Coriolis works on a two reference frame system, an
No,
inertial
it doesn't.
and a non-inertial reference frame. We would be standing on the ground in the non-inertial reference frame, observing the plane have an apparent deviation in the inertial reference frame when taking flight. That means we would see the plane have a deviation. It would either fly sideways or backwards or whatever. We don't see this, which Bob literally just said, yeah, we don't see it. So therefore, no deviation, no observed Coriolis, no Earth spin. Instead of telling me I'm ignorant and showing you are contradicting yourself, can you
You don't need him to do that for you.
show me where we observe Coriolis?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
A weather system. I showed it.
Okay.
Showed it when it was starting.
Do you see my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. It says here that I'm screen sharing. Is that correct?
Correct. You're good.
Okay, great. Now, all right. I've had about enough of this.
Oh, in see, it's the 14th today. In 9 days, I get to go to Willits or Ukiah to the VA and see a woman about getting a mobility scooter because I can't walk without being completely out of breath.
So first of all, let's correct a basic misunderstanding. The Earth is a non-inertial reference frame. Why do you need an inertial and a non-inertial reference frame to look at Coriolis? You need
because that's what Quantum Eraser told him.
An inertial reference frame to see that the non-inertial reference frame is actually rotating. So, for example, you can't tell that a car is moving down the highway unless you can get something that isn't moving to be able to observe it going down the highway. Now, this is the United States Navy, which is
And he's like nodding like he understands.
an authority. This is the firing table for a 16-inch naval rifle off of an Iowa-class battleship.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Yeah, and we are crack shots, man. With artillery, we know what the hell we're doing. And if we don't follow the rules or the manuals, we miss. And the United States rarely misses with artillery.
Okay, first of all, the very first thing in the circular is adjustments for curvature of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Period. The Earth curves. I've measured it. Okay? The U.S. Navy does require a curvature correction for its naval rifles. Now, right here is page 2 of that same document. And if you look right down here, these are the figures for various ranges of a 16-inch naval gun. And if you look right down here at the bottom, what's this? Can we read this together? Effects in yards of range due to the rotation of the Earth. So yes, indeed, artillery does take into account two of the factors. One is curvature of the Earth. The other is rotation of the Earth.
Yep.
Now, next. I wish that wasn't right there. How much is the Coriolis effect?
If Nathan Oakley sees that, he'll flip. Because that's like Nathan Oakley's main thing.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at a 10,000-pound airplane. All right, and a velocity of 500 miles per hour at 45 degrees north latitude. Okay, the Coriolis force is 104 newtons, and the deviation in meters per second, because we're modern people, the deviation due to Coriolis is just under 3 centimeters per second. Okay, now that is nothing. As you fly an aircraft, what happens in the northern hemisphere is that you take off and say we're going south to north. Coriolis will cause that aircraft to drift very slightly towards the right. The pilot, to maintain his course, will direct the aircraft to the left to stay on the magenta line of his flight path. As a result, he's constantly adding a little bit of east to west velocity to counteract the west to east velocity he had when he took off at the airport. That's how planes compensate for Coriolis. And as you can see, it is a tiny, insignificant amount of correction. Now, what else do we have up here? What other good fun things do we have? Okay, the Coriolis effect. Now, there's several basic principles behind the Coriolis effect. The first is Newton's first law of motion, which of course you understand, right? You can name the 3 laws of motion right off the top of your head right now, can't you, Blindside? Go ahead and name those off in order, please. What's the first law of motion?
You can finish your presentation while you show everybody it's not observable, making my point, as I said. So
I just showed you how it's observable on an artillery shell. So there are several
4
things.
centimeters. You said 4 centimeters. How do you observe 4 centimeters? 3 centimeters of.
Okay, so we'll go back then. The first law of motion is that an object in motion will remain in motion, and an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. The second factor involved in Coriolis is the spherical geometry of Earth, because Earth indeed is a sphere. And the third one is centripetal and acceleration. Now, as a result of that, when you go north-south, okay, you start off at a higher linear velocity closer to the equator because of the rotation of Earth at 15 degrees per hour, and the circumference around the axis of rotation at that point is the largest. As you go north, you still go 15 degrees per hour. However, the circumference around the axis of rotation is less. So as a result, you are going faster than the rotation of the Earth because you started off at a higher linear speed. In order to correct that, you have to go back the other way to stay on course. And as a result, you decrease your linear speed to match the surface of the Earth underneath you. Now, the interesting part is when you get to east-west flight, because as you go with the rotation of the Earth, okay, from west to east, you are going with the rotation of the Earth, and in order to maintain the same amount of centrifugal force, you have to actually go to a higher radius. You have to increase the radius of your turn, okay? Same thing when you go from east to west, you have to decrease the radius of the turn. So as a result of that, naturally, what you would do if you were a satellite is you'd go into a higher orbit. However, on the Earth, we are constrained by the atmosphere. And as a result, we can't go higher. So we have to go to a place that has a higher radius, which means that we will turn towards the equator. So in the northern hemisphere, that will be a rightward deviation. Okay? Now, if you're going from east to west, you're going to have to again turn right because you have to go to an area of smaller radius because you're going against the rotation.
I was going to say my buzz is not working. I tried a buzz.
Sorry. I'll go ahead and switch in 10 seconds. Go ahead, Bob, finish up.
Okay. And basically, we do have to take this into account with rifles, with artillery, with...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, there's a few issues there. He's literally making my point when he fights for...
He's literally making my point. No, he's destroying you. He's literally tearing your ears off.
We don't observe it. You can't observe 3 centimeters of drift, so therefore no drift. The artillery...
Really? We can't detect that? Are you sure?
Artillery you brought up, the artillery is...
So, nuh-uh?
Literally the same issue. It's so minuscule, you don't even need to take it into account, apparently. Again, we're talking about flight dynamics and Coriolis with flight dynamics. You literally just, again, we don't observe it because Earth too big, and you want to claim it. Now, show me the actual deviation.
So you don't think a 4,000-mile radius sphere isn't big?
Instead of saying it's too small to see the deviation. Okay? Also, nobody in history takes a shot at someone in war and first goes and works out calculations how much Coriolis there is.
They most certainly do. Or they miss.
They'll be dead by the time they try to do so, Bob. This is a fact. The fact I can...
You don't think calculators work fast? I mean, seriously, you think some guy's sitting there with an abacus, pen, piece of paper, and a pencil?
I can also say you're ignorant to the subject is because the last time you spoke, you said a 308 can shoot 1,000 miles. Okay? No, it can't. Putting on a manual saying Earth rotates or has Earth curve doesn't actually say it's true.
Yeah, it most certainly does say it's true. If you have to account for it and you hit your target, it's most certainly true. Proved to be true.
Heck, there's manuals that say gravity exists.
And it does. Yes.
Doesn't make...
You know, funny there aren't any manuals that say gravity doesn't exist.
It's true, mate. I'm asking you to actually demonstrate where we observe it. You're not demonstrating where we're observing it. You are appealing to a manual. I can show you a manual for the Church of Zoltan. I can appeal to that. Does that make the Church of Zoltan true? No, it doesn't.
Has the Church of Zoltan ever won a war with artillery?
So I'm asking you again. Instead of appealing to a manual that doesn't in any way take into account in real life, it's literally just...
No, they put that into practice when they fire the guns, dude. I don't think you understand what a manual is.
Idiotic.
So a vacuum cleaner manual has nothing to do with the use of a vacuum cleaner?
Can't observe it. Show us where we observe your claims of fighting where we don't observe it. Thank you.
You have the buzzer as well, Bob, if you want to use it next time.
Are you done yet?
That's all he had is nuh-uh. That's it. Just his opinion.
He's done.
With your derp? All right, so here is the deviation in yards based on latitude and distance and range to target. The reason that this is important is you cannot hit a target that is 75 yards wide if you have to deviate 150 yards due to Coriolis. These were worked out. These are range tables that were worked out for practical use. Now, another thing that you have to look at,
and have you shot that far before?
Don't interrupt me. Now, here is the path of historical hurricanes. Notice anything about it? Hurricanes in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise. Hurricanes in the southern hemisphere rotate clockwise. They do not cross the equator. That is a direct demonstration of Coriolis right there.
Yep.
So, trade winds.
Absolutely.
Trade winds are the same thing. I don't know if I've got my trade winds right here. That's the lift coefficient. You know what the lift coefficient on aircraft are? Because you certainly don't know much about them. That's probably beyond you right now. Okay, so the bottom line is
Bernoulli's principle, and stop insulting me because that shows you have nothing.
Here is the basic. Here's the basic premise behind all of Coriolis, right?
Dude, you threw the first insult
here, and this is what we actually see on Earth. This helps us to predict the weather. It helps us to track storms. It helps us to measure hurricanes. It tells us why hurricanes form. It tells us the basis of the trade winds. It tells us basically how a gyrocompass works.
Are you finished?
So gyrocompasses also demonstrate the curve or the rotation of the Earth because they cannot function on a non-rotating surface. Same thing with changes in weights by latitude, which I have personally measured. So the fact that the Earth is rotating and spherical is just an established fact, and it's not really worth debating. I would like very much to hear your spin on this because basically it amuses me.
Okay, first of all, again, I asked you specifically demonstrate Coriolis, which you're fighting for, you can't demonstrate it. You're appealing to a manual that is not used in actual war situations. You're
most certainly is.
Also appealing to curve, which we can't observe. You say it's too big. And by the way, do you know the difference between Coriolis effect and Coriolis force? And also notice that wind goes in all directions. We can explain hurricanes going in those.
God, oh wow. Oh, God love his little heart.
Hemispheres perfectly on any shape.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Good to have you. Glad you made it.
It's literally just based on
Go right ahead
wind,
and do it.
The environment, the topography. I've explained.
Tell
this
me
many
why
times.
hurricanes always rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere.
High and low pressure systems which cause the deviations because of our environment and our topography and the way the wind is moving. It can only deviate that way. It's not due to Earth rotation.
I'll listen to him.
Because air doesn't stick to surfaces.
Oh yes, it does. Most certainly does. Yes, the Tesla turbine proves that. So you're just dumb. You don't think air has friction.
It doesn't.
You can't have a Velcroed. You can't claim a Velcroed.
Nobody claims a Velcroed atmosphere, man. That's your straw man that you argue.
Velcroed air and wind at the same time. It's a contradiction.
So wind doesn't cause friction.
I never said wind doesn't cause friction. I said wind, air.
You said air is frictionless.
It doesn't stick to objects.
Well, that's what friction is. The tendency to stick to something and the movement against that thing to create heat. That's what that is.
Does wind cause friction? And if you
move
the surface through the air, does that cause friction?
It's a non sequitur.
No, it's not.
My argument is wind or air doesn't stick to objects.
But it does respond to forces acting on it. Is friction a force?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So wind does respond to forces acting on it.
So
because you've already acknowledged that friction's a force.
What's the force acting on the wind?
The surface of the Earth. The friction with the surface of the Earth.
Show us Earth moving to make that claim, please.
Excuse me?
Show us the Earth moving to make that claim.
Already demonstrated.
No, you didn't. There's no observation of Earth moving. You just literally said it's too big to see.
I didn't say that at all. I never once said that. That's something that you tried to say. And I told you that
Yes, you brought that up. Mouse, you brought that up.
I told you I've already amply demonstrated that the Earth is rotating.
No, you didn't. You
16-inch okay, stop. Stop now. 16-inch naval rifles, changes in weights with latitude, gyrocompasses, fiber optic gyrocompasses, laser ring gyros, all of which demonstrate that the Earth is indeed rotating at 15 degrees per hour.
Yes, all of them do. See, that's all Flatzoid has is nuh-uh.
None of them do. Have you ever shot the artillery round before?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the manual for the ring laser gyroscope?
Yes.
Have
I think the engineers that built it would know best.
you? Okay,
Yes.
and what plane have you flown before that you claimed?
Well, that's not really important, but the artillery shell that I
you
shot,
lied about being a pilot. You lied about shooting
Excuse me?
artillery. What artillery round did you shoot? Where?
155 millimeter howitzer, Fort Lewis, Washington. I was number 3 gunner for 3 shots
did you
during
take-
ROTC advanced camp.
Nice. And did you take Coriolis into account when you took
The
these
Fire
shots?
Control Center did, yes.
Oh, so you didn't. They
I
did.
pulled the cord that made the gun go boom.
So when the guy said, there it is, pull the cord, it shoots. Where's Coriolis? So you don't actually know if
It
Coriolis
calculates
was
our
taken.
firing
Wow, he really is thick, isn't he?
solution for us, and we lay that into the gun. And then once the firing solution is laid into the gun, you fire it. But
Okay,
as
if
far
an
as
ene-
your
if an
nonsense,
enemy-
okay,
if
well, I'm
an
going to address
enemy-
something before
if
you
the
go
enemy-
on.
So if the enemy is coming at you, and you
can use the buzzer,
just
Bob.
hold on, enemy, hold on. I just got to quickly account for a Coriolis that I can't account for, and hope I'm going to shoot you. Does that sound?
Oh, he is definitely out of his depth. Listen to him flounder. He has no clue. He doesn't understand. I mean, what a ship at sea or artillery. It's like we got to hit this enemy. They aren't running at you, dude. I mean, it could be, but it's not like you got a pistol in your hand and they're like right there. I mean, is that what he thinks war is? That you use artillery when they're like right on top of you? Dude, artillery's mainly used for like emplacements for stationary targets. In the case of naval, it's targets that are on a specific trajectory. I mean, he just doesn't understand anything about it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sound logical to you?
What are you talking about?
You just said you account for Coriolis in war.
Of course you do.
No, you don't.
There it is right there.
No,
It's right
that
at the table
manual,
for the
Yes, the manual is directions on what to do to achieve a firing solution. That's what the manual is. How to calculate for it. I mean, he just thinks they just throw the manual away. Ah, fuck it. I know better. Sorry. Bad word.
16. You want to see the naval table for the firing table for the 16-inch gun again?
do you
need to
think
see it
you'll
again?
sit there and actually calculate Coriolis when an enemy is
Yes.
coming to kill you?
Yes.
Yes, that's why they have analog computers on Iowa class battleships. That's what that big dialing thing is. That calculates the firing solution, and it takes
Just hold on,
into
Captain.
account range.
Tell the kamikaze pilot not to crash into me. I just got to quickly.
You don't use artillery for kamikaze pilots, man. Those are guns. That would be your 20 millimeter cannons. That would be your hand fired guns. What are you talking about?
Don't take out a freaking kamikaze plane with a 16-inch naval rifle
Obviously
shooting
not.
4,200
I'm just making.
or 4,000 or 42,000 yards.
I'm not making the claim.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You just made that claim. You said kamikaze pilot. Good grief. He just completely dishonest.
Yeah, I know you're not
saying,
making
giving an
sense because
example,
you can't. But let's go ahead and address something that you
Why
sat
are you
down.
talking and insulting me this whole evening?
I'm going to
All
address
you do
something
is-
that you keep
you must-
insulting me about.
Excuse me, sir.
I am
Stop
indeed.
insulting me.
You can use
Stop
the
being
buzzer.
condescending. I am talking. Thank you. Thank you. Joe.
Don't mute me again.
The
or this
whole
is over.
evening. The whole evening.
What do you mean don't mute you again? He's talking. The point of the show, you can use the buzzer if you want to take control, at which point I'll mute him and unmute you.
Right. Flatzoid started not using the mute button or the buzzer first. Okay, buddy? Flatzoid cut in a bunch of times, and you didn't do shit about that. Anything about that.
I told you the rules before the show. I gave you a link to the debate structure. Thank you. Go ahead, Fletcher.
Thank you. the whole evening. All you've been doing is insulting me, being condescending, double speaking, contradicting yourself, and still.
No, he's not been doing any of that. He's been proving you wrong.
Making my point.
He's been winning the debate.
I'm asking specifically, planes do not account for curvature. Planes do not account for Coriolis. You're moving totally off of the subject of aeroplanes being observed to observe.
But those are two verifiable lies, man. You can't lie and make up your own reality.
Coriolis or fly over a curve is you running. So again, I'm going back to that. Show me where an aeroplane accounts for Coriolis, Earth rotation on it, and show me where a plane accounts for Earth curve, where it literally doesn't do so thanks to the gyros that you said shows Earth curve. Thank you.
Okay, he's muted now. Bob, go ahead.
Well, first of all, planes do account for Earth curve because they navigate by great circles, period. That only occurs on a curved Earth. Second of all, I'm going to address something that you keep bringing up and your little fanboys keep bringing up. I am indeed a pilot. I'm an instrument-rated private pilot. I fly a Mooney M20. I've also flown Cessnas, Pipers, and Centabrias. I actually have a couple of ski landings under my belt as well. I've not flown float planes. I am not an airline pilot, but I do have my own plane, and I used to commute with it all the time. So, as an instrument pilot, I do have formal training in weather and navigation. You do not. I know how to use a sextant using a curved Earth and spherical geometry to find my location within 2 nautical miles. You do not. So, I'm not going to sit down and debate you when I have presented to you weather data, artillery data. I've shown you the Coriolis calculator and how it works, and I've shown you the effect of both Earth curve and Coriolis with artillery fire. I have personally measured the curvature of the Earth and verified it at 8 inches per mile squared, and that is good out to 40 degrees. I have also personally measured the rotation of the Earth with changing weights with latitudes. All of this is documented thoroughly on my channel. So I have nothing to prove with you. I don't have to prove Earth curve. It's already been done, and I've done it. So you wanted to talk about 2 things today.
Go ahead, Platform.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Again, I asked very specific questions, and again, you literally just bypassed what I asked. It's very simple. We set the argument in the beginning. If a gyroscope sets a rigid plane of horizontal, and it keeps that horizontal plane, and it doesn't change, how do you expect your nose not to fall, to drop, or to fly vertical into space by the time you get to the equator? You ran from that. You still haven't addressed that. You just said it happens.
No, you don't understand 3 dimensions, man. You just don't understand the topic. He already explained it to you.
I also asked you to demonstrate Coriolis of proving the ground moves underneath the plane. You just said we can't observe it. I'm also going to tell you hurricanes are actual. Okay, it's an actual spin of the air. Coriolis effect is a apparent deviation. Okay. It's not physical.
My God.
It appears to take a deviation. So when you
there we go. That's better.
Claiming hurricanes, you are saying you don't understand that it's an apparent deviation. As soon as you claim hurricane is due to Earth spin, you have to prove air sticks to a surface and prove that the Earth rotates. You can't do that. That's why I asked you in the beginning, do you know the difference between Coriolis force and Coriolis effect? The effect is what we observe. The force is what gives its momentum. So again, I'm going to ask you one last time. Can you show me an aeroplane accounting for Earth curve when flying, when it literally takes its rigid reference to a horizontal from point A to point B and it never changes, and you cannot show me where aeroplane has to account for Coriolis because of Earth rotating, because you're claiming it moves in reference to the Earth's surface. So we can't take it into account. Thank you.
Man, what a broken brain. His brain didn't work right.
Go ahead, Bob.
Just doesn't work right, like normal people's.
You might still be muted. I'm asking you to unmute, and it's just staying there. Your turn, Bob. Go ahead. Is that your answer? I guess he's not
right there.
He's showing you, I guess, the graph.
Okay. It's still, like I said,
it's called cope. That's it. It's cope. That's what he's telling you to do. Deal with it, buddy.
Is the Earth curve and Coriolis for planes, Bob? That's the argument. I can show you the Bible for Zoltan. That doesn't make Zoltan true.
Okay, well, that's all I have. Thanks very much. Appreciate you having me, Jaron. There is the rotation of the Earth, and as we saw here earlier, there is the curvature of the Earth. Here is the Coriolis effect. Here is, and I also showed you those. And I've also showed you the path of the hurricanes and the rotation of storms, and really there's nothing more to present. So, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, Tiny Captain, how's it going? Welcome aboard. Ahoy.
All right, do you want to read some Super Chats, or you got to go?
Nope, I'm fine.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Read Super Chats all you want. If they have specific questions for me, I'll be happy to, but I'm pretty much done with Flatside.
Are we going to give closing statements at least, or?
No, we're done.
Oh, so cowardice. Okay, bye.
Nope, I don't have anything else to add. I've made my case, and that's really all.
You haven't made anything. That's the point, Bob.
No, he's definitely made his case. You've denied everything and reversed everything on him because you're an ignorant little toady. That's what you are. You're an ignorant toady of Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser. You're their little parrot. You have no critical thinking skills. You have no research skills. You lack in education. You reject education. And you're dishonest.
You didn't present anything.
I did what I wanted to do.
Believe me, bro.
I did what I wanted to do, which was show your basic misunderstanding of all this. So
yeah, the only one that did that was you, Bob.
Okay.
So more nuh-uh. That's all you have.
Thank you.
That's it.
So I'm going to give my closing statement since he doesn't want to. Is that
well, yeah,
fine?
you get your minute whenever you want to start that, and then we'll read Super Chats after.
Right. Okay. So notice, guys, from the beginning, Bob got triggered, insulted me nonstop, ad homed me, and didn't present evidence for what was.
I believe you insulted and ad homed him first. Could be wrong.
Claimed. He did, however,
hey,
appeal
George.
to a manual that doesn't work in real life situations. He also had a.
But that's your claim. It most certainly does work in real life situations. It most certainly does.
Misunderstanding of how Coriolis works. He didn't know the difference between Coriolis force, Coriolis effect, and he didn't know what rigid means.
So just more dishonesty.
He doesn't understand that according to a physical curve, you will have to drop your nose or you will have to fly into space if you.
Misunderstanding of physics and 3 dimensions.
Claiming to go over said curve. Notice he also didn't know what mean sea level was. All he knew was.
No, he gave you the definition of mean sea level. Showed you what mean sea level is. You're the one who cannot understand 3 dimensions, buddy. So another lie from Flatzoid.
Let me insult and show nothing but appeal to a manual that's not used in real life situations.
Most certainly is used in real life situations. So don't get that twisted, pal.
I can show NASA. I can show other things which says we fly over flat, rigid, non-rotationary plane. What?
No, it doesn't say though. None of those papers say that. They say, for the sake of this model that we're testing, we assume that we're on a non-rotating flat plane. We assume that, meaning we ignore reality and we exchange it with that. So another lie from Flatzoid.
What will he tell us? oh no, but that's just a model. Yet it works.
And it's funny that you cherry pick those 16 papers and ignore everything else that NASA says. You cherry pick those little things, but you ignore everything else that NASA stands for. Way to go, buddy.
Works. Everything is based on those models, which works in reality. No observed curve, no observed rotation. Thanks.
No, the flat Earth does not work in reality. The angles of Polaris prove that. Sunrises and sunsets prove that. Flat Earth does not match reality. If flat Earth matched reality, we would see horizontal star trails looking directly south. We don't see that. We see a rotational point. So,
Bob, you want your minute?
Proofs in the pudding. I gave I showed you all the data that that reinforces what I said. So I don't have anything else to prove.
Okay, I'm going to go look at the super chats here. Let me get there. All right, first one's up. This is for Journalism Flatzoid, not Bob the Globe Builder. Thank you. Clit Rubs, nice name. Real says, thanks again, Jaren. Logically speaking, who knows more about plane flying? A certified pilot or a Flatzoid? Come on, guys, tighten up. Okay. Any comment on that, Flatzoid?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who has a pilot's license. He clearly showed he's either dishonest.
Yes, it does matter who has a pilot license to determine which person knows more about flight. Yeah, most certainly does.
Or he doesn't understand the actual flight dynamics, which was proven tonight.
That's hilarious. There's his license. There you go, Flatzoid.
Comment, Bob? Okay, that's his pilot license. I take it.
There's my pilot's license right there. So,
where's yours?
Do you have one of those?
I don't need one to understand flight dynamics, mate.
So you've taken flight school
I don't need
before,
to be
right?
a mechanic to know how to work an engine.
So you've taken flight.
Say what? Yeah, you need to be a mechanic to know how to work on engines. Yes, you most certainly do. Yes.
Flight school before, and you've learned about navigation and aviation.
Well, I clearly did show you don't understand how gyro compasses work and
No, you don't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
gyroscopes.
Okay.
Okay, from Jeff, we have so a gyro changes its horizontal reference frame. To you, Bob.
On a attitude indicator, there are pendulous vanes, and it uses the normal force of gravity to keep it level. All right.
Yep.
So yes, that does. On an INS and an IRS system, they basically go to a 3-coordinate system. Doesn't really care where the horizon is. It will determine where the horizon is based on its location in that 3-coordinate system, and whether or not it's rotating.
Yeah, which was set on the runway.
Okay, the final experiment says $5. Bob, are you willing to publicly admit you were wrong about the globe if we don't see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica this December?
Yes.
Okay. Flatzoid from Kengo44. When did you get your pilot's license? How many flight hours do you have? You think you need a dip? You think you need to dip a plane's nose down, otherwise you go into space? Clown.
Well, that was more of a statement other than a question,
Yes,
but let me
okay.
explain it to him just like I did to Bob earlier. You need to either change your airspeed or dip based on your angle of attack to follow a physical drop.
No, you don't. That's not how flight dynamics work, man. Not at all.
You're not doing this, so therefore not physical drop.
Bob, let me make sure I understand what you mean when you say the plane follows the surface of the Earth. So
Yeah.
if a plane's going over the Grand Canyon, for example, it's going to quickly lose altitude and then gain
Oh, I
altitude?
knew that would be a great flat Earth question from you.
I'm just asking. I don't understand
Yeah,
what it
try
means.
and do better than that.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know planes follow the ground. If they did, then they would change
What
based on
was the
mountains.
context, Sharon?
You said that it doesn't dip its nose down because it follows the curvature of the Earth, and since the curve is
Correct.
always happening at the same height or distance away from the Earth, then it stays with the Earth.
Correct.
So yeah,
So what does the Grand Canyon have to do with any of that?
Well, it's part of the Earth. rather than laugh, can you explain it to me why I'm confused? If I didn't know planes follow the
Why do you
ground.
think you're confused, Jared?
Because I think planes don't follow the ground.
Okay, what do you think they follow?
They stay a certain altitude, maybe?
Above what?
They stay a certain altitude based on
above what?
Based on their angle of attack, based on
above what?
Angle of attack.
Okay, so
there you
you
go.
don't think they follow the ground, but they follow the ground because they maintain a certain altitude above the ground. Yeah, we're referring to mean sea level, of course.
The only thing they follow to the ground is its relative speed.
No, actually, that's not how airplanes fly.
They fly an altitude based on pressure. They only follow the ground relative to its speed.
No.
So another thing I had to teach Bob the pilot.
Doesn't have anything to do with speed. The way aircraft fly is there's a couple of things. This is called the lift equation. Okay. Now the design of the wing.
Principle. We know Bernoulli's principle.
It doesn't. Flatsoid, you don't know what you're talking about. Listen to
I just said the words Bernoulli's principle.
You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to lift coefficient. So instead of talking, listen to people who know things, okay?
Stop being condescending and telling me what I do and don't understand when you literally, I told you
okay,
in
the
words,
lift coefficient has to
principle.
do with the design of the wing. It has to do with the density of the air. It has to do with the velocity of the air. And what else?
Drag.
Drag?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Low pressure and high pressure cause it to lift.
What's that? That's called angle of attack.
Angle of attack.
Great. What factors can the pilot control?
Well, when you set your trim, your tabs to trim, you don't do anything. You leave it in that level flight.
What does the trim tab do?
It sets the tab. You can set your level of attack with the trim.
What is the result of setting your trim? What
Stays
does that
level
set?
Flight. Stays in level flight.
That sets your angle of attack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you combine that with your velocity, and the plane is tuned to fly at a certain angle of attack and speed at a certain pressure altitude. What happens if you turn the engines off? What happens to the speed of the aircraft?
That's exactly why I said you don't.
What happens to the speed of the aircraft if you turn the engines off? The speed goes down? No. What happens to the altitude of the aircraft?
You
if you turn
think
the engines off?
If you take velocity away, you think the plane doesn't go down?
If you turn
how do you
the
land
engines
a plane
off? If you turn the engines off, does that decrease the speed of the aircraft once it is trimmed?
To a certain extent, you'll eventually lose momentum and fall. Yes. Do you not lose momentum when switching an engine off?
Okay. Do you? The question was.
Do you or do you not lose
change?
momentum when? Do you or do you not lose momentum when you put the engine on?
Okay. What happens when you turn the engine off?
Do you or do you not lose
listen
momentum?
To the answer. You need to be quiet and listen to people
who
actually know something for
It's a
change.
yes or no question, Bob. I still have a
Now,
follow-up question.
when you
to
turn
that.
the engine off, what happens? The speed remains the same. The speed remains the same, and the aircraft starts to sink. The angle of attack does not change. The aircraft simply maintains the angle of attack and speed and sinks. If you turn the engine back on but turn it to a higher setting, the angle of attack and the speed don't change, but the altitude does. That's
so
basic flight 101.
So when you land a plane,
yes,
do you reduce the speed?
You reduce the power.
Yeah.
And you change the angle of attack.
Speed, correct?
You reduce the power and change the angle of attack is what you do.
Well, it depends. If it's a very windy day and it's a head.
Really? Depends. Coming from someone who's never flown an airplane.
Wind, you're not really going to change your angle of attack that much.
You're not?
No.
Why not?
It all depends. You need to keep a level. So you just decreasing your altitude with your momentum. Yeah.
What changes the speed when coming in for landing? What changes the speed of the aircraft?
That's exactly what I asked. Do you lose momentum when you put your engines off?
When you're coming in for a landing, how do you change your speed?
What do you mean? You're literally not answering my question, and I have to.
What do you mean? What does he mean? That's a very simple question. You seem to know a lot about this.
No, I'm not.
Again.
So because it has nothing to do with anything. Now, when you're coming in for a landing, how do you change your
speed? I asked your question 5 times now, Bob.
And I'm not going to answer it the 6th time either.
Because you know it debunks your whole argument. Well done.
When you come in for a landing, the way you change your speed.
He refuses to answer me.
Yes,
but he wants me to answer his idiotic question, which comes after my question.
Look,
dishonesty, Bob.
He's answered your questions numerous times, man. You just can't accept the answers.
I'm not here. I'm not here to debate you.
By the way,
I'm here to debate you.
All right. So when you land, what happens?
He's not here to debate you.
No, he's there to educate you, but you're incapable of being educated.
As you pull back on the stick, you change your speed. If you add power, you change your altitude. Okay, that's the way airplanes work.
It's pressure. Yeah, you're forcing on more.
That's it's called the lift. It's called the lift equation.
Lift. Yeah, Bernoulli's principle. Yeah. Now again, I'm asking.
It's more than the Bernoulli principle.
Okay, now based on this, remember when I asked you about do you account for Earth curve? You would either dip your nose, or you would change your velocity so you.
Dude, he already explained this to you. He already explained this to you. Sure, you can get down quick if you point your nose down at the ground. You'll get down a lot quicker than you want. But that's not how we fly planes, or that's not how they fly planes. I've never flown a plane.
No. You drop to keep with the curve. No. You said none of that happens, so therefore we don't have Earth curve.
No, your understanding of how aircraft address Earth curve is flawed is the problem.
Yeah,
we don't have to do either of those to keep sitting height above the ground.
You don't understand the information, Flatzoid. That's the problem.
We maintain our angle of attack. We maintain our thrust. We maintain our height above the ground. As the ground curves under us, our altitude remains the same to the curved ground.
Would the same thing?
Curve?
We're not changing our power. We're not changing our angle of attack or anything else.
So would the same thing happen on a level Earth?
Yes, of course, the same thing happens on a level Earth, but it's not, because the Earth is curved, and we know that by other means. Simply, the fact that we have to fly.
Hey, Petey, what's up?
Great circle courses demonstrates that the Earth is curved. The fact that gyro compasses work demonstrate the Earth is curved.
The fact that we have a gyro compass debunks your argument, dude.
So
no, gyro compasses work on precession, and you can't have precession on a flat Earth.
You don't even know how a gyro compass works. Tell me how a gyro compass works.
Just sets a rigid plane.
No, tell me how a gyro compass works.
It's a spin that sets a rigid plane.
Okay, and how does it work?
By setting a rigid plane with rotation.
How does a gyro compass find true north?
Have you ever? Okay, let's put it in very simple terms. Have you ever taken a bicycle tire? Have you ever taken a bicycle? Have you ever taken a bicycle tire and spun it, and you try to force it out of its rotation, and it tries to force itself back?
Yes. Same thing when you apply power to an aircraft.
Yeah.
With a propeller.
We go. So when I've set my gyro on the runway to keep a horizontal, so you know your horizon line, your reference, it never changes, Bob.
It does change because it works off the vector of gravity as well, and the pendulous vanes. That's how a attitude indicator works. Now, how does a gyro compass work? Tell me how a gyro compass works and why it doesn't demonstrate the rotation of the Earth.
Because it's set to magnetic north.
No, it's not. There's no magnets. It's not magnetic. Sorry, buddy. Oh, Lord. Of course, he thinks he knows more about it than Bob.
I rest my case. Thank you.
What?
That is a hoot. You still don't know how gyro compasses work in flat Earth.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that while I literally show you contradicting yourself over and over.
All right, we've got Flatzoid. Are you willing to publicly admit you were wrong about flat Earth if we see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica this December?
Yeah.
Flatzoid, please pray for a power cut. What that means. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Yeah, because Bob needs it, because it was very painful to hear his contradictions.
Hey, casual engineer, how you doing?
Jeff Conkle, or Konkai, one or the other, says, is Bob an atheist?
Yes.
Bob, I'll let you answer that.
What business is it of yours?
They just, okay.
Yeah, it's an irrelevant question.
You don't have to answer. That's what they asked. He doesn't think it's your business. All right, we've got Both. Explain thrust and lift, and then how the elevator, rudder, or ailerons work on an aircraft to maintain altitude above the surface of the Earth. From Ozian. Thank you, Ozian. $5.
We just practically did. That was the Bernoulli's principle. That's what we just actually said. It's just the angle of the rudders and the trim to give with the thrust to give it drag. Okay. And lift.
Okay.
Do you want an actual explanation of that? Do I need to go through it?
It's up to you. If you want to, you can.
All right. There are four factors, or there are four forces that work on an aircraft. Okay. You have gravity, you have lift, you have thrust. Stop talking. You have thrust, and you have drag. Okay. Those are the four forces acting on an aircraft, and that's how it maintains its elevation above the ground. The rudders, which are these devices right here, what these do is these counteract yaw. Okay. And the ailerons here, or the horizontal stabilizers, what they do is they pitch the aircraft up and down, and the trim tabs are located on the horizontal stabilizers back here.
Okay. From absolutely Oaksel total something. I don't know what that's.
I just want to point out it's weight, not gravity. He loves to do that, just to point it out.
Weight is mass times gravity.
Gravity is not a force, so you can't use it as gravity.
Yeah, it is. It's how we perceive gravity is a force in Newtonian physics.
It's simply weight. Thank you.
Weight is mass times gravity.
Gravity is not a force. You cannot count it as a force, so you can't have it accounting to weight. And no,
you can keep telling yourself that all you want, but you're wrong.
She's a whiny little runt, isn't she?
Weight comes from the word gravitas, not gravity. So thank you very much.
Flats, what is
I'm fine with what I said.
Flats, what is a gyrocompass? How does it work?
What is a gyrocompass? It sets a rigid plane in spin motion, so you know your reference. There we go.
All right, I'll answer that.
With the bicycle tire, like I said with the bicycle tire.
I'll explain that. I'll explain that properly now. Now, what a gyrocompass is it's a gyro that spins in the plane, in one plane, and what that plane has done is it's pointed horizontal to the ground. All right. As the Earth rotates, what it'll attempt to do is it will attempt to tilt back if it's pointed east. Okay, to follow the sun, basically. Just imagine it pointing at the sun to start with, and then as the day goes on, it has to kind of come up. But it's prevented from making that motion, and as a result, by the right-hand rule, the angular momentum is shifted to the north, and eventually it gets to the minimal point, which is with the gyrocompass pointing to the geographic north, not the magnetic north, the geographic north. That's how it works.
Yep. It's a little more complicated than that, but very good.
That's why you can use it in a submarine. That's why you can use it. It has absolutely nothing to do with magnetic headings or anything like that. The only thing that you have to make changes on it is basically the balance of the gyrocompass. It has to be correct.
So precession then?
Yep. Yeah, it works by gyroscopic precession.
Which is mechanical.
Sir.
Which is gyroscopic precession.
Which is mechanical. Yeah, so not Earth rotation then. Well,
are you thick? Are you thick? The Earth has to rotate or has to spin for it to work correctly. It doesn't work on magnets, man.
No, it's caused directly by Earth rotation.
It's caused by precession due to mechanical.
What do you think mechanical precession is? What do you think is causing the mechanical precession?
The transfer of energy.
All right. What is the force acting on a gyrocompass to make it precess?
I don't know. Momentum, because you.
I just explained it to you.
Momentum.
Were you listening?
Momentum.
There is no Earth rotation. There is
bicycle tire.
No globe.
So once again, even though you had the actual explanation,
hold on. A kid's toy then is a kid's toy precesses because of the rotation of the Earth.
Absolutely, yes. Now you're getting it, buddy.
What do you mean a kid's toy precesses?
A top, a kid's top. When you spin it, it actually has, it has mechanical.
What happens to a kid's top when you spin it?
it has the same deal that a compass would have, a gyro compass.
Okay,
would have.
so this is the difference between an engineering mind and somebody who doesn't know about it. So when a kid's top is spun, what happens is that it spins and forms a gyroscopic force that holds it.
Yeah, a kid's top is different than a kid's gyroscope.
Upright. Okay. As it tilts even slightly, it'll start rotating like this. Okay. The force acting on it is the force of gravity because it had tilted a little bit. It wasn't perfectly balanced. And it tilted a little bit. And as a result, it will precess by the right-hand rule. Okay. Now, that's why when you start that thing, it starts off upright. And then as it tilts a little bit, it'll start that wobble, and then eventually it'll fall. And that is a balance between the gyroscopic forces and gravity.
Great. So I'm so happy you explained it that way. So they're not Earth rotation, it's due to the momentum. Thank you very much.
Momentum.
Wow. Just doesn't give up, does he?
Okay, Mark.
Momentum.
Mark says, for Bob, can a plane work on a flat Earth? If not, why?
It can.
Okay, we've got Stephen Jarvis says, now I understand why you're flat earthers. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because you get condescending pricks that don't understand what's going on and contradict themselves.
Oh.
And it's shown to be
That's
flat.
his claim.
Yeah.
Ozian Talk says, it's flatzoid. How many...
It's shown to be flat by just looking at it. That's it. He can't get past the first step of the scientific method.
naval battles have you been in?
Oh, yeah, it depends on a lot of computer games.
I got 12 people in here right now. This is awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Where do you observe Coriolis, Bob? Says Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Anytime you move over the surface of the Earth.
No, where do you observe it, he said.
Anytime you move over the surface of the Earth.
Where? You can show us at least where it's up.
August 18th. 12:45.
I just did.
Been Arsenal all night. No, you made a claim.
I showed you this. I showed you the firing table for the X16.
That's not an observation. Rifle. That's not an observation.
That's based on fall of shot.
Not an observation.
Look up the British in the Falklands in World War I.
That's actually
and
a
find
myth.
out why they had issues with their big guns.
That's a myth.
Absolutely.
Look into it.
Oh, is it a myth?
It's been proven to be a myth. Great job, Flatzoid. Bob debunked himself. Says Apocryphon. Thank you for the $1.99. But seriously, Bob, look into that. That's not a true story. Neil deGrasse Tyson goes around spitting that, and everybody tells him he's wrong, and it never happened. And like Flatzoid said, there would be no point in a military battle that people would keep shooting cannons and missing and be like, we don't know what's going on, and then have to do the calculations, and then finally, if they missed to the left, they would aim to the right. That's just how it works in real life.
That's why they include that in the initial shot.
You see, he thinks the barrel just. How can I put this? What's the? I'm not thinking the nice name. You get like the Magnus effect due to the barrel roll. And
all right, spin drift. Spin drift, I think. Yeah. How does Bob fit his head through doors? Asked Jeff. All right.
It's tough sometimes.
Apocryphon says Bob's self-burn XYZ coordinates on his flat box. Okay. I believe that's it. Let me check.
Yeah, he doesn't understand how that whole box has to literally rotate with his globe, and it doesn't.
And I believe that's it. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Wow.
I do appreciate it. I think we all could have learned something here. Any final words for you, Bob? Tell people where they can find you if they want to see more.
My channel's well known.
Okay. Flatzoid, tell people where they can find you.
Just search Flatzoid's Perspective. You'll find me on Twitter X. You'll find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And
And running my bed and breakfast on the peak of Mount Stupid.
Thanks, Jaron, for us. This was actually quite fun. And thanks, everybody in chat, for coming and watching the globe contradict himself once again.
Thank you much, both of you. That was Bob the Science Guy.
Wow. Pretty bad there, Mouse. Really, really bad. So, Whiskers agrees. He told me. So, anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. And as always, be seeing you.